to Long-Winded Wednesday. How's it Wednesday already?
I don't know what day it is.
I mean, there's that. Are there days anymore?
I know.
Just minutes and hours.
There's just chunks of time and space.
Yeah.
And what did that lady say during our intersectionality workshop in Longmont? We're just all blossoms in the universe.
Blossoms in the universe.
I don't see you. You don't see me. There's no color between us. We're just blossoms. Still don't know what that really happened to us.
That really happened. All right. I'm trying to do the double screen here. And pay attention to Facebook if we need. But anyway, hi, my name is Maren Johanna Miller. I use she, her pronouns. I'm with my friend and colleague. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I don't have a voice. Hi, I'm Jenny Madrano. I'm the shift program manager at Buildingbridges. And yeah, we're just doing this live weekly to be able to talk for a long time on issues that we care about.
Yeah. And last week we talked about privilege and the complexity of that, stemming from a workshop that we often do around intersectionality and all the different identities that we hold and may or may not hold and have privilege in, and how COVID-19 or COVID-19, how that was bringing up some things around all the things. And one specific identity that is being talked about a lot right now is race and the racial disparities that are blatantly showing up. Have always been here, have always existed in this country, have always been present in our systems in various forms and ways. And but yeah, lately within the last even couple of days, I feel like we're getting a lot of information from Milwaukee, from New Orleans. Even Bernie Sanders is talking about racial justice and how race and class essentially are intersecting right now and affecting who and how folks are experiencing this pandemic day in and day out.
Did you see that Bernie Sanders dropped out of the race?
Yeah, I'm trying not to.
Speaking of race, but I mean, it's all connected. And yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, and what's happened with the Wisconsin primaries yesterday. Yeah, I mean, it's all very messy. And yeah, so we decided that today we're going to talk about race and COVID-19. And I guess I just, want to start off with a little check-in though. Like we like to do mindfulness, breathing, talk about somatics and the connection of all of this in our bodies and ways to to help move through what may or may not be showing up in a conversation around race and a conversation around identity. And so I just want us to do a little check-in. You and I have talked a little bit before this, but how are you feeling right now, Jenny? Where are you at right now?
Right now, I am tired as hell. I did not sleep good last night. I don't know if it was the full moon or I kind of feel like it's just this whole situation after a while because like just been compounding nights of no sleep and I would not do well as an insomniac. Like I know a lot of people who struggle with sleep and I just am really empathizing with them right now because I just don't feel, I feel kind of apathetic.
Yeah.
What about you?
In this moment right now, I feel fairly neutral in a sense. But I have over the last few weeks been going back and forth, and mostly really angry. And yeah, I guess just for a check-in now, I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling okay. Trying not to think about Bernie being out. Trying not to. I mean, now here we are talking about race and COVID-19, and so I'm already feeling a little anxious about it. This is a big topic, but I don't know, it's an important topic, always is, and even more so now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, where do we begin? So we do want to say, though, folks who do come in and out of here, if you do have any questions or thoughts or curiosities on the topic of race, on the topic of privilege, whether it's now in this moment or later, please feel free to reach out to us in the comments or in our direct message. We'd love to hear from folks, and again, continue to have conversations every week, and would love to more and more interact with what you want to talk about too. But in the terms of race and COVID-19, again, I feel like there's different avenues to go around. I, as a white woman, have been navigating, again, my own anger and frustration, which has always existed as a white anti-racist person. But again, now more than ever, like I was telling a friend yesterday, I just keep seeing this visual of folks, and again, white folks are in this like big fun inner tube at a water park, and like they're going down the water park, and they're like getting bumped in the road a little bit and getting splashes of waves coming over them. But like at the end of COVID-19, like what will happen is maybe they get a little wet, maybe they get a little scared going around the corner, but ultimately, like, they're going to be okay at the end of the ride.
Shit.
And then, but then what I'm getting angry about, again, I've already known, which is why I'm so passionate about anti-racism work for white folks, is the very real, the other side of this experience is folks of color specifically. They're not floating and having fun in the inner tube. Their inner tube is flipped over and essentially drowning and asking for help. And no one's doing anything about it.
Yeah, a lot of us don't even get a tube.
No. Yeah, right.
Make your way down the slide.
Yeah, have it.
Best. Damn, that's a good visual. That's scary and makes me feel a little bit of the anger you're feeling. I feel like I really have to be choosy about when I lean into the feelings around it. In the beginning, it was like every day. And now I'm like, I just can't think about it. I can't think about this all the time because I can't serve people well, you know? Like, so I'm trying to navigate that as a Latina person of color, and just trying to figure out how much do I advocate for my people right now and Latinx people, and how they're like disproportionately losing their jobs and having their income decreased, and so many of our people are undocumented, and how a lot of them are missing out on the stimulus checks. I can't allow myself to really sit in it too long. Otherwise, I get physically sick, you know?
Yeah. It's a lot. Are you willing or in a space to share a little more of like what you're holding in terms of your own family experience?
Sure. Yeah. I am feeling the tension of privilege and oppression right now because I have the privilege of being able to work from home and do building bridges stuff from home and take care of myself. And then on my family side, both my dad and my older sister, they're government workers. So they have to go into their office still and are considered essential employees. And what makes me the most mad is that they're like one of very few people in their offices that still have to work and still have to be exposed to the virus and other people. And their white male bosses, the head honchos at the top of everything, are staying home and quarantining themselves and have been doing that for the past whatever weeks. And these bosses' words to them are just, take care of yourself, you know, like someone has to do it. And feels like the coded language of, I'm willing to sacrifice you, brown person, for my own safety and for my own job security. It makes me mad.
Yeah. And you were also sharing, I mean, that folks are like calling in your dad and delegating, like, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. And like, they're calling from the safety of their own homes. Like, just the audacity of that. And again, yeah. If we isolate race, how that all works out.
Yeah. And I just feel like it's like, I don't even have the energy for people to argue, well, it's just because that's their jobs. And what does this actually have to do with race, you know? When it's no coincidence to me that the final people that are essential workers are majority Black and brown right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like, what are people going to wake up to the reality that our lives, our bodies don't matter as much in the eyes of white leaders in this country?
And haven't since the inception.
Yeah.
And that's how deeply rooted this is in terms of how class and race intersect. Yeah, there's a lot of memes and a lot of things going around on Facebook, and one recently I saw of like how this is showing really where the class lines are. Like folks who are at home and like getting to play and share their music and, you know, tell everybody we're all in this together and have access to resources to kind of still do some of the stuff that they're used to doing in terms of celebrities and folks who are in the really upper class. And then middle class, I know a lot of my friends and family are home, and yes, they still have a job essentially to do and can do from home, but their kids are also home and their spouse is also home. And I was a former teacher, and I know a lot of teachers who are trying to teach their kiddos from school, then also teach their own kids at home. And like, yikes. You know, just trying to juggle all of that. And yet there's a lot of privilege that they still have a job and that they have a home and all of those things. And then, yeah, all the folks who are low wage earners, typically the pattern is folks of color are out and still out and about. And I saw images of, I'd have to check if this is true or not, but like that. So a lot of like trains are being shut down. So there are not as many trains going through New York and some of the bigger cities. And yet there are folks who still need to go to work. And so, and we saw this in Wisconsin at the voting yesterday too. Like there's just a plethora of folks together because they still need to go do this thing. They still need to go work. They still really want to go vote. And yet their lives are literally on the line because they're even more in close proximity to each other when we're being told they shouldn't.
Yeah, it's really wild. It's like, I don't know. I get frustrated too with when people want to put like all traumas in the same bucket.
Yeah.
And just I feel like a lot of white people and people of a lot of privilege right now want to just put this blanket on everybody. We're all living in trauma right now. We're all dealing with hard stuff. This is collective grief and this is collective, and I get it. I totally agree with that. And the trauma of daily to a virus and wondering, am I going to get it or am I not? Do I have it now or do I not? And then realizing, I don't actually have the healthcare to pay for this. And most likely if I were to get this and I unable to breathe, I would be the one dying from this.
Yep.
And I'm providing for my family or whatever. Versus I'm at home, I've been quarantined for 2 weeks, but who knows, maybe I could have the virus and I'm sad because I don't get to see my friends. A legitimate pain, I'm going through it, and not the same as others. And I feel frustrated when people don't want to acknowledge that. It's like people want to remain closing their eyes to the reality of those most marginalized still.
Yep. And there's this extra now time and availability to potentially really look and be able to see. And yet the predictable patterns that you and I have witnessed in our trainings personally, in terms of folks are just not willing to go there. And it's, again, this, that it's not believable. Yeah, and that gets really frustrating when it seems, I don't know, it seems so obvious. And now, luckily, at least we have folks who are legitimately naming now and saying, like, here's the data out of Milwaukee. Here's the like the percentage wise, it is folks of color who are dying at an extensive rate because of COVID-19 and because of what we just mentioned, historically, policy-wise, housing-wise, this is what's happening. Folks who are dying because of their scenarios and the way the system is set up. And then we can go to, like, thinking about school and folks who are upset that, that are not folks who are wanting school to go on as usual or go on and just be transferred when it was already an inequitable system in place and space. And now, again, it's just only widening the resource gap in terms of who has the ability to access internet and numerous devices and have family to be there to help them with their homework.
Yeah, it makes me feel kind of helpless too. And I feel like what we really need at this time are empowered leaders of color directing us, because it feels like there's so many of us out there who are just like, whoa, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Like little lost sheep, Yeah. And if we're moving through this and out of this pandemic, then every step matters. It's changing what direction we're going to go in. We're either going to try to go backwards to similar things, even though that's going to be pretty impossible to recreate, or we're going to pivot and be like doing what we at Building Bridges have been doing. How do we change our decision-making strategies? How do we get transparent about our pay structures? How do we ask the hard questions about our lives beyond work? Are CEOs and directors and managers going to start doing that or not? Because that's what it comes down to. And just even like right now, do you pay people more for being essential worker? And can we at all devise a plan to have minimal people working so that people can have the least exposure? Like every small decision like that matters now. And I don't see a lot of those decisions being made at all.
Nope. Let alone folks who are at least staying home. Who are there's folks who aren't staying home because they have no choice. They are essential workers. They need to work. They are working. And then there's folks who are still like, and they're out doing whatever they want. The entitlement that exists. And again, what we believe and how that all stems into whiteness and white supremacy culture, and just, again, what we feel is so powerful and passionate about, of folks who really first look at this personally. How am I showing up? How is this showing up in my life? And that's part of what a lot of conversations I've been having with white folks in my life is we have real like tangible choices to be making right now. Like one, like wrestling with and continuing to investigate the power and the privilege and where the positionality that we're in. And then what are some of the choices and things that we can make? One, we can either start this journey or continue the journey of understanding race and ourselves as racialized beings. And two, there are legit ways that you can be divesting funds at this point. Like who and where and how are you supporting folks? One, you know, we need more folks to stay home. And so, yes, do that. But also, can you be digging in your pockets and or that stimulus check that's coming in? Do you need it? Because if you don't, even now, high school seniors and college students, they're not going to be able to access that. There are legit folks who are on the margins, who are undocumented. There's just a plethora of folks in need that, again, to me, it's seeming easier to notice and recognize, but again, we know that that's not the truth.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, so we get a stimulus check. Is that the end of the checks that we get? How long is this gonna impact us? And then it almost feels like that's becoming one of the only solutions. And I get frustrated by that too, because I'm like, it can't be the only thing to just be able to if you're a person of privilege, to be able to donate money to someone who's not. There's got to be other ways that we can be navigating this together, you know? And if you are staying at home and you are a person of privilege, I'm going to say, because there are some POC out there as well, including myself, how can we be using this time to strategize, to think differently, to come up with ideas in terms of how to take care of everyone right now? And I don't know. I think we need to start really thinking outside of the box, and I feel that there's an opening for that in terms of thinking about inclusion and equity.
Yeah. A huge opening, a huge opportunity to really do something differently and be different.
And you know what? Like, to bring in our other layer to this, our spiritual belief side of things, even though we don't always talk about it at Building Bridges, I believe the universe is definitely is a ebb and flow. You give energy and you get energy. Like what we put in at this time, it will get around and it will come back around to us. And I think our decisions made out of fear, anxiety, scarcity, and what's it called? Not stubbornness. I can only think of the Spanish word for some reason.
Well, say it.
But stingy. Made out of scarcity, stinginess, all this stuff. We're going to get more of that on the other side. And you're going to have less to work with. But if right now we're acting out of abundance, we're acting out of confidence, we're acting out of boldness, out of trust, as we have at Building Bridges, we've seen like more comes with more. So I feel like that's part of the message that I would want people to hear is we don't have to be afraid anymore. We can lead and act in boldness and trust and generosity, and it's going to come back.
And I that to me is such a huge part of, especially for white folks, is there is that legit fear of what am I going to lose? Like to be equitable or to make sure everybody gets what they need, I'm going to lose out on something because I've had access and power and entitlement. And so like what would it look like to sacrifice? I mean, that's legitimately what anti-racism is, right? Is that to legitimately get to a point of like, I'm willing to give up something in order, because my life is on the line, because my values and my beliefs and like who I am as a human person is on the line as well. And
the truth of the matter is your life has always been on the line. your life has always been on the line, not just during COVID-19.
Nope.
Since like you said, since the inception of this country, white bodies were on the line too.
Yep.
And the decision made was, well, I guess let's kill these indigenous people because we're afraid of our own. Where are we going to sleep? And what are we going to eat? And where are we going to live? And, oh, well, we can't do this labor. So where are we going to sleep? And where are we going to eat? Where are we going to live? Let's bring in slaves. Like every decision from the worst of the worst, the bloodiest, like colonization and slavery to now has been with a mindset of, well, what about me?
Yep.
And it hasn't worked.
How do I get mine? How do I hoard and keep what is the power and the privilege and the wealth that I have? Ugh.
Yeah, so it's like, that's what it is, Maren. And something about this live is like making sense right now, but for a lot of people, the colonial mindset is at stake.
Yeah.
And the earth right now is literally pleading with you to bring that mindset to death.
Mm-hmm.
And to bring forth a new mindset of collectivism, let's all care for each other. But in order for that to take place, like both mindsets can exist. Like, yeah, the colonizer inside of us all has to die.
Mm. And that's just like such deep patterned ways of being and thinking that we've all been indoctrinated in. That is such hard stuff, right? Like, one, you have to want to like look at it and face it, and two, like to then like start digging new pathways. It's like it's hard work.
Yeah,
always has been.
Oh, well, there's our time. With that, yeah, I feel like I want to make a graphic of that, because that's a big truth that's hitting you right now. Mm-hmm. Colonizer inside of us all has to die. Mm. And yeah, I think there's going to be different nuggets of truth that come out throughout the course of us just steady talking together, being long-winded around these issues. And even if we're not feeling it, / I'm not feeling it, it's still helpful to talk through, for sure.
Yeah. Me too. I mean, that's, who you have always been in my life at this point too. Like, it just feels good to, just have constant points and places to cipher through it all, to practice, to hear multiple perspective, and just, it's a lot of the work that we do with white folks is like, then when we get to a certain point of like, okay, I see this, I understand this, now I want to go out and do something. And like, this is the doing something in many regards, is like holding this tension and being with each other. And like, there's no right answer, and I'm uncomfortable and I'm angry. And
it starts with that self-reflection, for sure. In the minute decisions, second by second, at what points is the colonizer coming out? I want to look out for myself. Oh, I kind of want to hoard that $10. Or I kind of want to not let my coworker have say in this decision, so I'm going to do it myself, So many different ways, and we have so many resources around that, and what colonization and white supremacy looks like on a practical level. So hopefully we can get into that sometime soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to close up, and I'm going to save this video. I'm going to say it out loud.
Yes.
So we can get more folks to see it. We did move our time, but this time is what we're going to stick with for now. And that would be 12:30 Mountain Time every Wednesday, Long-Winded Wednesday. I'm going to get better at giving you prompts and more opportunities to give us feedback. So again, after you've watched this and have any more questions or thoughts or an idea of what you want us to talk about, please let us know.
Yes.
All right.
See you next week.
Woohoo!